The air was tense, heavy with fear and confusion, as a young black teen struggled against the cold metal of the handcuffs. Her arms ached, her vision blurred, and the world around her felt like it was closing in. Everyone on the crew froze, unsure of what to do, as she gasped for air, teetering on the edge of unconsciousness. It was supposed to be a normal day, a routine check, but nothing about this moment felt normal. Then, the sound of powerful footsteps echoed through the room, and all eyes turned. In walked a man whose presence demanded respect, his gaze sharp and commanding. The crew immediately recognized him, the CEO, the teen's father, a figure of authority, wealth, and influence. The tension in the room skyrocketed as his eyes locked onto the scene before him, and a silence fell that was heavier than any chain. No one dared move, speak, or explain. Questions hung in the air. How had things escalated to this point? Would the teen be okay? And most importantly, what would her father do when he realized what had happened? The answers weren't coming anytime soon, leaving everyone in the audience on the edge of their seats, waiting for the storm to unfold. The teen's chest heaved as she tried to catch her breath, the sting of the handcuffs leaving a mark on her wrists. She had never imagined a day like this. One small mistake, a misunderstanding, and suddenly she was at the center of a situation spiraling out of control. Around her, the crew whispered quietly, exchanging nervous glances, each one wondering how far things would go before someone stepped in. Her father, the CEO, stood silently for a moment, his eyes scanning every face in the room. He was known for his calm yet commanding presence, the kind that could make even the toughest executives hesitate. But here, his concern wasn't about business, it was about his daughter. Memories of her childhood flashed in his mind. Her laughter, her determination, the way she always stood up for herself, even when the world seemed against her. No one spoke, but the tension thickened. Questions lingered. Why had she been handcuffed in the first place? Who on the crew had made the decision that put her in danger? And most importantly, what would her father do now, seeing his child so vulnerable? Every second stretched, each one heavier than the last. As the room waited for the first sign of action, the crew shifted uncomfortably under the CEO's piercing gaze, each member silently replaying the events that had led to this moment. Some blamed miscommunication, others the teen's impulsive actions, but no one dared voice their thoughts. In the corner, a security officer fidgeted, clearly regretting the decision to handcuff her. He could see the fear in her eyes, the faint trembling in her hands, and knew this was far beyond a simple disciplinary measure. Meanwhile, the teen tried to steady herself, her mind racing. She remembered the warning signs she had ignored, the subtle tension in the crew, the hushed conversations, the looks that carried more weight than words. And now, faced with her father's intense presence, she felt the weight of every consequence looming over her. She had always been strong, independent, but this moment tested every ounce of her courage. Outside the immediate chaos, another layer of the story began to emerge. Whispers of past conflicts, rivalries within the crew, and unspoken agendas added complexity to the situation. Was this an isolated mistake, or was someone waiting for an opportunity to make things worse? As the CEO took a step closer, the teen's heart pounded, the room seemed to shrink, and the questions multiplied. Every eye was on him and on her, yet no one knew who would move first, or how far this confrontation could escalate. The tension in the room was suffocating. Every movement felt amplified, every sound echoing with the weight of anticipation. The teen's breaths came in shallow bursts, her wrists raw from the tight handcuffs, and yet she refused to show weakness. She met her father's eyes, searching for a hint of reassurance, but found only a storm of controlled fury and concern. The crew's nervous glances turned into panic as they realized the magnitude of the situation. Decisions they had thought were minor now felt like they could trigger a disaster. The security officer, frozen in place, wished he could rewind time, undo the choice that had set everything into motion. Around the room, murmurs threatened to break the silence, but no one dared speak. Every word felt like it could ignite the tension further. Outside, the faint sound of a door opening hinted at someone else arriving, another unknown element that could shift the balance. The teen's mind raced. Questions of trust, loyalty, and consequences collided. Was someone deliberately setting her up, or was it a cruel accident? Her father's hand hovered near the side of his suit, a subtle signal that the next move would change everything. Hearts pounded, eyes widened, and the room seemed to hold its collective breath, knowing the climax of this confrontation was seconds away. But no one could yet predict how explosive it would be. Just as the tension in the room reached a breaking point, a sudden voice cut through the silence. "Wait, you don't know the full story." The words came from a figure in the shadows, someone no one had noticed enter. The crew turned sharply, their anxiety multiplying, while the teen's heart skipped a beat. Who was this, and why had they chosen this exact moment to speak? The CEO's eyes narrowed, his attention now divided. The figure stepped forward, revealing information that made the room go completely still. Apparently, the handcuffing wasn't entirely accidental. There had been warnings ignored, miscommunications magnified, and even hints of a hidden agenda among the crew. The teen's pulse raced as she realized this situation was far more complicated than anyone had imagined. Layers of the conflict collided: her safety, her father's authority, and the crew's secrets all entwined in a web of tension. Whispers turned into frantic glances, and the air felt heavier with every passing second. The teen wondered if she could trust anyone in the room, and whether her father would see through the lies or be drawn into a deeper chaos. With every revelation, the stakes escalated. The room was charged with fear, uncertainty, and a growing sense that this confrontation was only the beginning, and the fallout could be far more dangerous than anyone had predicted. The room seemed to hold its breath as the CEO finally stepped forward, his voice calm but carrying the weight of authority. "Enough," he said, and immediately the tension shifted. The crew froze, unsure if they were about to face reprimand or something far worse. Slowly, he approached his daughter, kneeling to remove the handcuffs that had left her in pain and fear. Relief washed over her, but it was tinged with lingering doubts. How had things spiraled so dangerously? The CEO's gaze swept the room, and one by one, the crew members realized their misjudgments and hidden agendas were exposed. What had seemed like a minor incident was actually a chain reaction of misunderstandings, mistrust, and mistakes. He addressed each person firmly, his presence commanding respect, making it clear that no further harm would be tolerated. The teen felt a mix of gratitude, and all her father's strength and love had turned a terrifying moment into a lesson in accountability and trust. Just as the tension began to ease, a new surprise emerged. The shadowed figure who had revealed the second plot twist stepped forward again, holding a file with evidence that no one had anticipated. "There's more you need to see," they said, and the teen realized that while the immediate danger was over, the story was far from finished. Questions hung in the air, leaving the audience eager for the next chapter of this gripping story. The teen finally stood upright, rubbing her wrists, but feeling a sense of safety she hadn't felt all day. Her father's presence had not only protected her, but also reminded everyone in the room of the importance of responsibility, trust, and clear communication. The crew, now subdued, began to acknowledge their mistakes, apologizing quietly and realizing how their actions had escalated the situation. What had started as confusion and fear transformed into lessons learned and boundaries re-established. The shadowed figure handed over the file, revealing past oversights and hidden tensions within the crew, helping the CEO and his daughter understand the bigger picture. With this clarity, they addressed not just the immediate conflict, but the underlying issues that had nearly caused a disaster. The teen felt empowered, seeing that mistakes could be corrected, and that courage, honesty, and support from loved ones could turn even the scariest moments into growth. As the room finally settled, the CEO gave his daughter a reassuring smile, reminding her that she was never alone and that mistakes didn't define her. The crew left with a renewed sense of accountability, and the teen walked away stronger, wiser, and more confident. While the tension had passed, the story left a lasting message: trust, family, and integrity matter above all, and even in the darkest moments, there is a way forward.